Welcome to today's video. Today is going to be a follow-up to a video I did many moons ago, which was ranking the singles from the Carpenters from 1969 to 1973. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the singles from this album from 1974 to 1978 and ranking them. So just as a reminder, when I did the previous video, I used the 12 singles from this vinyl album, the singles 1969 to 1973, and ranked them from 12 to 1. I'm going to do the same here with the follow-up album, the singles 1974 to 1978. I'll preface this by saying I have to say that this offering isn't quite as good as this, I don't think, overall. Even from, I'm being a bit sarcastic here, but even from a cover design perspective, this has got a nice gatefold, it looks really nice. This one, it's a bit more flimsy, etc. But really all we're going to be focusing on is the music. This is just meant to be a little bit of fun. I could change the rankings at any time. There's no rubbish here by any means. So let's just have some fun with this. And there could be some changes to my rankings. I could easily make some changes. But what I have to say is I'm fairly happy with what I have selected. So before we go through these 12 tracks, I'll just say what we've got on this album. So on side 1, we've got Sweet Sweet Smile, Jambalaya, Can't Smile Without You, I Won't Last a Day Without You, All You Get From Love Is a Love Song, Only Yesterday. And then on side 2, we have Solitaire, Please Mr Postman, I Need to Be in Love, Happy, There's a Kind of Hush, and Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft. So a good album, a good singles album, as I say, not quite as strong probably as that first offering, the 1969 to 73 effort. So let's get straight into it, shall we, with number 12, and that is going to be Happy, which actually wasn't an A-side, this was just a B-side to Only Yesterday. There are 2 occasions on this record where there are 2 B-sides, that's Happy and Can't Smile Without You, which we'll cover in a bit. I have to say, of the 12 songs here, I'm not overly familiar with this one. Lyrically, it's a bit subpar to other Carpenters tracks. The whole lyric of Happy is the way I'm feeling and I know it comes from being with you. It's a bit wishy-washy. But on the positive side, it's a good arrangement, which is the least I'd expect from the Carpenters. And what quite surprised me, because I haven't heard this track in a long while, there's a bit of an almost synthy solo at the end of the track, and I wonder if that's anywhere in the rest of the Carpenters catalogue. It might be somewhere else, but it's certainly interesting, unexpected, and I can't really remember that being anywhere else. So that's one positive about the song that's in last place. Again, all of these songs are good. There's no duds here. There's no rubbish. But we have to try and be critical. So coming in at number 11, which might perhaps be a little bit of a shock because this is probably seen as one of the, I would say, bigger hits on this album. I am going to go with Solitaire, the cover of the Neil Sedaka track. Before I heard this by the Carpenters, I'd heard Andy Williams' version. And listening to the Carpenters version, listening to this album this morning, I did think, I probably prefer that Andy Williams version. So straight after I listened to the Carpenters version, I went to listen to the Andy Williams version and I thought, yeah, I prefer that version. Couldn't quite put my finger on exactly why. I think possibly the song suits a male voice more, and I certainly won't say this very often about the Carpenters, I do prefer the arrangement of the Andy Williams version. The Carpenters version's a little bit slow and sluggish, dare I say. And Richard Carpenter himself wasn't crazy about the song. He felt it would showcase Karen's vocal expertise. He thinks that her vocal performance on this song is one of her best, but apparently Karen never liked the song and she never changed her opinion of it. Number 10 is the second only B-side on this, which is Can't Smile Without You from the A Kind of Hush album. It's a sort of soft, plodding along Carpenters track, really, that they'd become synonymous with by this point. This is a track that was previously by Barry Manilow. It's okay. As I say, it's good. It's decent. It's one of those that adds to the Carpenters catalogue. But is it one of my favourites? Probably not. Number 9 then, still from this A Kind of Hush album, is There's a Kind of Hush All Over the World. This, of course, was a hit originally for Herman's Hermits. My most listened version to this is by Engelbert Humperdinck, and I have to say I do prefer the Humps version of this. It's a little bit like, Solitaire, that I think this song probably benefits from a different arrangement, which you get a bit of a slower arrangement with Engelbert Humperdinck's song, a bit that builds up a little bit more than this kind of upbeat, happy, clappy version. It's okay, but the fact that I've heard it elsewhere and it's better does detract me from this. But again, good track. Number 8 then continues the trend on this 74 to 78 compilation of featuring more notable covers, and it's going to be this time Please Mr Postman, a 60s track from the Marvelettes. I think did the Beatles perform this as well at some point? But in fairness on this one, unlike Solitaire, I do think that Carpenters make this their own. You can tell, it's quite interesting actually between these two compilations, that a lot of the material on the first compilation is original stuff, original material. Yes, there were a few songs that were sung by other artists, or written perhaps for other artists before Carpenters, but the only track on that compilation that I'd say is very well known, at least to my ears, by another artist, is Ticket to Ride. And the Carpenters did their own thing with Ticket to Ride and made it their own. And that is the same with this track, Please Mr Postman. I have only got a few of the singles from this compilation, but where I've got them, I will show them. So Please Mr Postman comes in at number 8. As I said, this does something a little bit different. It's a different arrangement, which makes it a good addition to the Carpenters catalogue. I can't say it's ever been one of my favourites. I wouldn't say it's one I'd skip, but it is one that, again, it's not essential, it's not one of my favourites. But again, it's a high bar with the Carpenters, so this being at number 8 doesn't mean it's rubbish. It just means, again, it's good, but not great or essential. At number 7, we have an old Hank Williams track, Jambalaya on the Bayou, from Now and Then, from 1973. This is great fun, isn't it? Jambalaya is great fun. And it does always strike me with the Carpenters that Karen's voice, it sounds great when you're singing something like this, which is quite upbeat and almost a novelty tune, dare I say. But then it still sounds so great and sincere singing on some of the more melancholy tracks. The vocals on something like Superstar are unbelievable. But again, she still sounds really good here. And this one is just infectious. It's impossible not to click your fingers, sing along with the melody. Yeah, it's great. So that one's going to come in at number 7. Number 6 is one that plays more into my country sensibilities, and that is Sweet Sweet Smile from Passage from 1977. It's certainly not one of the more sincere tracks, but it is catchy as hell. Again, it's good, but probably not essential Carpenters material. At number 5, and I have to say this is where it gets really good from here onwards, and probably if I look at the top 3 at least, it was difficult to separate, but all the top 5 are really good Carpenters songs. So we're going to start with I Need to Be in Love, a song which actually at the time resonated with the way that Karen was feeling at the time about her own life. I can't put my finger on this, it's missing a little bit of something to make it real top brilliant tier of Carpenters, but again, it's still pretty good. The next 2 tracks are from the 1977 Passage album, so that might give you a hint at what's coming up next. Number 4 is All You Get From Love Is a Love Song. This is a great upbeat arrangement, and any song with a saxophone solo is one I'll certainly approve of. Now at number 3, and I found this really difficult to put at number 3, this could have easily been number 1. But it's going to be Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft, the recognised anthem for World Contact Day. And you could certainly say with this album, as we go into 77, it could be considered a departure from the Carpenters' original material. I'll read, in fact, from the liner notes, which says this, sums it up pretty well. You could start by saying that this new Carpenters album is the most daring, innovative, surprising, yeah, there you go, Dippish, I'll give up. And satisfying, that's the last one, album that they've yet made. Well, I've talked about a couple of tracks on this album so far. It features country with Sweet Sweet Smile. It's got more pop and upbeat arrangements that you'd expect possibly from prior Carpenters records with All You Get From Love Is a Love Song. There's musical tunes, Don't Cry For Me Argentina, which by the way is great. It's not up there with Julie Covington's version. Nothing would be, but Karen Carpenter certainly gives it a good go. But this song, I think, is by far the most out there thing that a so-called middle-of-the-road band, bear in mind, like the Carpenters have done. And, my God, it works. It really does. It's almost progressive in its nature, which is a real shock considering none of the Carpenters material before or possibly after that really edges anywhere towards this. It's got a slower section at the start, it then segues into a quicker section then towards the ending, almost theatrical. This is one of the great Carpenters tracks, and I can't quite remember the story of how this was picked out to be performed by the Carpenters, and looking at this probably as a record executive you think no, that just wouldn't work for the Carpenters, but somehow the magic works, and it certainly does. The 2 remaining then we have Only Yesterday and I Won't Last a Day Without You. So what's going to come out at number 1? Because these 2 tracks are so close. But at number 2, it is going to be Only Yesterday from Horizon. I love the arrangement here. Really, really good. Some of the sounds, like the guitar for instance, are almost akin to that Goodbye to Love feel. It does take some time for the song to build up to the first chorus, but it's a really well-rounded track, and the chorus is, it's catchy as hell. And although Sweet Sweet Smile is catchy, it almost flails into the bit of being a little bit corny, because it's got a country leaning, but this one, not at all. And then number 1 is what you could consider possibly a bit of a cop-out, because this was released on the 1972 album, A Song for You. This is I Won't Last a Day Without You. This is the first issue of the single, because it's a double A-side with Goodbye to Love, which I would have a feeling would be my favourite song from the single 69 to 73 when I did that video. It certainly is now, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't back then. So this is almost a bit of a cop-out, because yes, it was a single. It was re-released in 1974 by itself, and it did well in the US. But this was from 1972, from A Song for You, so it almost feels a little bit of a cop-out to be going for this. But nevertheless, it's on the album. We have to rank them. As I said, it's all a bit of fun. So I Won't Last a Day Without You is number 1. Why? Because lyrically, this is excellent. It's particularly poignant when you have that one person in your life, and I know I've spent a couple of nights listening to this track, almost when you sat there having a bit of a bluesy evening, or you're down in the dumps a little bit. This is one that would really bring you back up, and this is one of my favourite Carpenters tracks, so it had to take the top spot. Only just, as I say, the top 3 I would say are really, really close together, but number 1 in this ranking is going to be I Won't Last a Day Without You. So to run down then from 12 to 1, at number 12 we have Happy, Solitaire at number 11, Can't Smile Without You at number 10, There's a Kind of Hush at 9, Please Mr Postman, let's get the single out again, shall we? Let's do a bit of physical showcase. Please Mr Postman at number 8, Jambalaya, Crawfish Pie, Filet Gumbo at number 7, and then going into the top half we have Sweet Sweet Smile, I Need to Be in Love at number 5, All You Get From Love Is a Love Song at number 4, Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft at number 3, Only Yesterday at number 2, and then our top song for today, I Won't Last a Day Without You, written by Paul Williams and Roger Nichols from the LP A Song for You from 1972. Again, it feels like a bit of a cop-out going for this, but we're okay. We'll live with it. I really enjoyed that because it gave me a good opportunity to listen to this album, the Carpenters singles 74 to 78. If you haven't seen my previous one that I did of this, the ranking of the singles from 69 to 73, make sure to go and do that. I had a video as well talking about the compilation 4040 and how I think that's a better compilation than Carpenters Gold, and there might just be some Carpenters content coming up in the future. But that's ticked off one of the bucket list videos because that first video has been begging for a sequel for so long, and now you finally have it. So make sure to leave a like down below, comment your thoughts on what your rankings would be of these tracks from 12 to 1. There are no wrong answers here, as I said, all of these songs are good, so make sure to leave your comments down below. Subscribe for regular music musings, top 10s reviews, and all that good stuff. I wish you a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.